It used to be common to have a piano in just about every home in America, which means now there's a lot of old pianos available. And the question we get a lot is, how much are these pianos worth? Ted, you're going to help us answer that question today, so stay tuned.
Hi, this is Ted with Alamo Music Center in beautiful downtown San Antonio, Texas.
And I am not Patrick. This is Chris McKee here with Alamo Music. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. Hey, if you're new to our channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and click that like button because it helps other people who are like-minded piano enthusiasts find out about our videos. We really appreciate it.
Chris, I'm glad you're here because I know the guitar videos have a bigger audience. And so you doing a piano video will bring a lot of those guitar guy audience over here. I don't know if they're going to call the store direct to start asking us about pianos, but at least it opens the door to getting out more information to more people that have an interest in pianos.
Well, and I'm glad I'm here because I honestly have these questions. You know, I can think for the entire time that I've been here, we've gotten phone calls. I see the emails come in, and we have people walk in all the time, and they have XYZ piano that they got from their mom or their grandmother or something, and it's been in the family forever, and how much it's worth. And that usually goes along with an expectation that it's old, so it must be worth a lot.
Oh man, it's an antique. It's got to be worth a lot of money.
Antiques are valuable, aren't they?
You know,
Ted?
I would take it to one of those. What do they call it? The show where they have
the Antique Roadshow.
Yeah, the Antique Roadshow.
Yeah.
But I would need a crew of guys to get over there. Actually, in all of my years of piano and with all of the stories that I've heard for the 20 plus years that I've been around the store, I'd say of all those dream come true, inherited, found, located, discovered piano I have, there's probably been less than 5 that are really, really, if even that many.
So old doesn't mean valuable.
Old does not mean valuable, particularly, and this is the one thing, how much is my piano worth? Well, number one, it was manufactured to be a musical instrument and to function as a piano.
Yeah.
So there's 88 keys, 2 or 3 pedals, and about 220 plus strings on every single piano for the most part. If those are not functioning, working close to perfect or near perfect, then the piano's value immediately goes down.
So then it's just furniture.
It's starting to be furniture.
Right, okay.
Now, a lot of them, and I can give you an example of the one primary piano that we had that was worth bunches of money, and it wasn't the stores, it was a consignment. And you're gonna remember, it's the almost 9-foot Steinway that was back there. It was 100% solid rosewood rim.
It was Brazilian rosewood, if I recall.
Brazilian rosewood, everything.
I kept trying to get Martin guitarists to buy and build guitars out
Well,
of it.
okay, now it's funny you mentioned that because the way I sold that, I got a lead. I didn't really sell the piano because the guy eventually backed out, but he offered a third of what the asking price was. And I called him back the next day and said, do you realize that your offer of, I think it was 23 or 24,000, I said, do you realize that if we just diminished everything, the work, and I was selling a pile of raw materials, I did the math. I've got a minimum at $38,000 to $40,000 worth of Brazilian rosewood, and that's not even breaking it down into fretboards.
Right.
Okay, you put it into fretboards or the tops, and I said, and that's not even counting the cast iron steel frame, which you can melt down.
Yeah.
Let alone all the Italian handcraft that went into carving those solid Brazilian rosewood stumps into those legs.
Yeah.
And so he made a few phone calls and looked around and said, you know what, you're right. So he kind of upped his ante a little bit, but someone else ended up getting the piano. But that was the most, because it was a
pre-Civil War. I mean, you're
extremely
dealing with
rare.
Pre-Chinese Brazilian rosewood, Steinway, 9-foot concert grand.
And again, this piano was not a piece of junk.
Yeah.
Everyone that played it, and we had every professional pianist in town and some from out of town. I had a world-renowned classical pianist come through here and said she would love to use it on her album because she actually records on period era instruments.
Okay.
And it was that great of a playing, sounding, true ebony and ivory Brazilian rosewood Steinway piano. And it wasn't just a piano, it was carved up, it was ornate, it was special. And so that is probably the single most, dream come true kind of how much is it worth piano.
So what's the more common scenario?
The more common scenario is if you're lucky and a lot of times people are inheriting these pianos or the grandmas or the relatives talk about, it would be great, you got 2 or 3 grandkids in your house and it would be great. If it's a run-of-the-mill and a standard name that's recognized, like a Steinway, Yamaha, Baldwin, a Kawai, any of those, it's probably going to be a well-playing, great-sounding piano, and it comes back to the 88 keys, the pedals, and the strings. So that right there in and of itself costs cash. Before you ever even find out the worth of a piano, do the pedals work? Do all the keys work, and is it in tune? Well, to have a tuner come sit and do a good job and tell you what else needs to be done, that's about $200.
So if it's a brand name that's well known and it's in good nick, it works, then you've got kind of a starting point.
You have worth as an instrument. Someone can learn to play on it. Someone can lead a room or sing songs or play on it. And that's why every home used to have a piano. That's how this business here was built, particularly. Yeah. And I was thinking about that coming to work today. I thought, this business was built on pianos, but it originally started off as a piano financer.
Right.
And then it became a piano retailer. And so that was kind of interesting because what's my piano worth?
Yeah.
Does that mean you want to buy one, you want to sell one? No, I want to talk values of pianos, like a commodity.
Yeah.
And so any kind of commodity has motivated buyer and motivated seller. And this is the thing that I was discussing with Patrick when we were talking about this video. It's like, it seems like when you're selling pianos, there's not really always a motivated buyer. It's almost like it's a convinced buyer. And people that have a piano that are asking how much it's worth, I promise you, that's a motivated seller.
Yeah.
They're asking for a reason. Man, I can get some bucks out of this and buy me a motorcycle or a boat or something.
Sounds good,
a lawnmower, right?
Something I'm going to get used to, particularly if you don't play, right?
If you don't play and it doesn't work right, well, then you're just starting to look at it, values crash. And then sometimes I get a call as a guy say, well, I understand you got a book, got all the pianos in there. And they're thinking right there is car dealer or RV dealer. And those, I think RVs
like it's a blue book, you can just look at values.
Like it's a blue book, okay?
Yeah.
True, there is a book.
Yeah.
But there's nothing of value in that book or value determination in that book other than the year that piano was manufactured and a little bit about the company. It's not an NADA where it says 1950 Boston or 1950 this, and it's, hey man, $25,000. I mean, that's what they're looking for, and that doesn't really happen. And most of that book that dealers have is available online. And so the big names, and that's why I mentioned them, Yamaha, Baldwin, Steinway, Chickering, Mason Hammond, the names that have been around for a long time here in the United States. Yeah. Those names are going to come right up on the internet. You can put in a model of serial, it'll come up, it'll bring you straight to the book. There's no indication of value there.
Right, you still have to look at some range or what they're selling for.
Well, it tells you the year. Okay. So this is what I always tell people. If you want to learn on your own, I mean, just go on the eBay or one of these places and try to buy, like you called me, with a 1950 Wurlitzer, say, studio piano. And so you go online, like you're going to buy a 1950 studio Wurlitzer piano, and look at one that matches condition, assume all your stuff works. And if the value says $1,200, well, that's at retail. So if you call a store to buy it and you've watched the Pawn Stars,
sorry, best we can do is a
one third. They're willing to argue a third to like maybe right under a half.
Because they gotta make money, right?
They gotta make money on it. And then the other people are thinking, well, man, just to get a guy to tune it, it's $200, and then you got to move the thing, and it's 600 pounds, and that's going to be $300, $400, but this one here happens to be $1,000, so that's going to be even more.
Yeah.
And so the more work that's involved, the physical labor of picking that thing up, moving it, and tuning it, the more expensive it's going to be. It doesn't mean that it's worthless. Get rid of it, because I've seen, and you can find there's more of these on the internet than there probably are real instruments for sale. An upright piano. Old antique, converted to a bar, converted to a desk, converted to a mini library.
I've seen a lot of worship teams hollowing them out and putting the keyboards inside of an upright. Yeah.
We have one in the back corner of the store that's on display.
Yeah.
But that piano is a gorgeous, I think it's like a 5-foot upright
it looks
saloon
beautiful.
Piano.
Yeah.
That's one that we need to go inside and carve out and put a keyboard in, and then you can go around and display like you're playing. But that thing is very heavy because there's no plywoods in there. It's all solid.
It's all solid.
It's all solid wood. But determining the value, the other thing is you have to get some indication of, again, is it functioning as a musical instrument? Because if it doesn't function as a musical instrument, that's telling you that its primary purpose for being manufactured and created is not working.
Yeah.
And so everything that does work, that's closer to perfection, and if it is perfection, there's worth in it as an instrument, which means someone would be willing to pay and buy for it, assuming it hasn't been flooded with water. I mean, a piano could still work even though it's been flooded with water.
Sure.
It may not sound good. a lot of the hammers and felts could fall off and all those kind of things, which leads us to the next videos we're going after.
Yeah.
But determining worth, you can always get a salesman or a salesperson advised what's the best way to do it without talking to someone.
Yeah. Well, hearing what you just said kind of makes me think, though, in addition to this discussion of how much is a piano worth, when you're looking at old pianos, it's not just worth, there's also liability involved.
There is liability. They're like, Chris, hey, look, man, this guy called, he said, free piano for the store. And if we don't want it, you can have it personally. And I know you got kids at home, and there's a free piano for you, Chris. And you're looking at it. It's going to cost me $1,200 to get this free piano that's worth about $600.
Right.
And
that's before it's tuned, if we check the hammers, if we check the felts, like,
And then to move it.
And then to have it move. Right. You mean I can't just put it in the back of my truck?
Oh, no. I mean, Beer
But
Buddy.
everybody's shopping Craigslist right now. You can't just put it in the back of your truck.
Beer Buddy piano moving stories are the greatest. I mean, ask our movers, ask any piano that's busted up. Beer Buddy piano movers, I don't recommend
Okay, Josh, that's a TV show that needs to happen right now. Beer Buddy piano movers. I like it. I think our piano crew would be down for it.
We had guys come in one time to deliver an upright piano, and it was a Beer Buddy piano move group. There were 6 guys, and they couldn't fit through the door with the piano at the same time.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey guys, hold on." Oh, we got it. They're like big macho dudes. I said, "Just a minute." And I went and got our piano movers.
Oh yeah. They can do it with 2 guys.
Well, you know how big they are, right?
Yeah.
They're not that big.
No, they're not.
And he went
It's
out
technique.
there and picked it right and goes, "Well, I guess you got to know what you're doing." Well, that's the whole idea around Beer Buddy piano movers, because they don't move pianos every weekend.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we did one a few years ago. Remember Fred, that thing fell off the truck? There's a story to go with it.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of those around here. And again, a liability, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Because of the cost to maintain it and then to keep it going. It doesn't mean it's a permanent cost, but at the same time, it's you derive something out of the worth of the instrument.
Sure.
And then, of course, there's always the people that say, well, it was my grandma's, and every time we went over, it was there in a corner, and my picture was on it when I was a little kid, and then now my picture's there with my family and my kids. And aesthetics, that's a value, and that's worth. But these are getting out of the commodity value and worth and more into the aesthetics of philosophical values of worth. Okay, because I always like that story where third day in the economics class, the guy goes, "Hey, wait a minute, man, this economics, I thought this was a philosophy class. We were talking about worth and value." So he's sitting in the wrong room.
Sure.
Okay? And that's really true of pianos.
Yeah.
And the same kind of thing on guitars. I mean,
it's really true of just about anything.
Of anything. And that's why we like watching those Pawn Stars and all that stuff that have old. But old doesn't always mean that it's valuable.
If old meant valuable, then going into a Cracker Barrel, none of that stuff would be on the wall.
I'd be worth more money every day. That's absolutely true.
That's just the truth of it. Yeah. So, well, I think that's pretty enlightening. I think if we come down to it, what you're saying is, I mean, first of all, I think the old truism is anything's worth whatever someone's willing to pay for it, right? And we can get an idea of worth if it's something that's researchable. If it's something that there's not a lot of history on, you're just kind of shooting in the dark. You might reach out to a retailer like us for that information. But regardless of whether it's a brand name or not a brand name, as an instrument, if you're looking at it as a piano, not as a piece of furniture, not as a sentimental piece or history, but as a piano, function and condition really has a big part to play in that.
Oh, it sure does. And this is, as a guitar guy, is there's always worth in a trade-in. Yeah. And so it can be a down payment and it can be a trade-in. And this as a guitar guy, so that's why guitar guys are always like, "Man, I wish I knew a little bit more about worthing on a piano. How much is it worth so you can make a deal faster and get it done, and not have to involve one of those weird piano guys in the deal, because then they're getting involved in your guitar sale, and you don't ever want a piano guy getting involved in a guitar sale. That's just been my experience.
You heard it here. You don't want a piano guy involved in your guitar sale.
Well, unless they're a guitar guy. I mean, there's a lot of them are both piano and guitar guys. But there is worth in the instrument, and but certainly the least value is that you can always harvest the natural resources out of it. You could get a nice soundboard out of the back of a nice spinning or an upright piano. And you can do things with a soundboard. Carpenters will pay for it. Handyman, you can make those little Kalimbas. You can make all kind of different things off of. There are some fine materials in there that you can use and do things with, as well as the case. You could make something out of it.
I like that. There is a bit too much of a throwaway mentality in some of our society. So that's good. Well, Ted, that's extremely helpful, and I hope for everyone who's watching, particularly if you're in that moment of I'm looking at used pianos, or more likely you have an old piano that you're looking to sell or want the value of. I hope that was helpful. I think that was really
Or it was in the storage unit.
Or was in a storage unit.
Yeah, we have a couple of those too.
I'm pretty sure my late uncle probably still has a dozen storage units throughout Texas that have various pianos in them.
Yeah, so a lot of times people come in, hey, we bought a storage unit, you know, that's kind of what we do, and we got this. You guys want it? I don't even want it. We just need to get rid of it. And they leave them at the back door. Sometimes we get them. They're broken down spinach or something, and they're leaving us a liability sometimes, and it's something that our guys got to take and go get rid of.
Yeah. Well, you know what I'd love to see? I'd love to hear some stories, and I'd love to hear some experiences. So if you have watched this video and it's helped you, let us know. But I'd love to hear one, if you have an old piano story, something that you own, something that you've kept, something you've tried to sell or whatnot, tell us about that. And I really, really want to hear about some Beer Buddy piano mover stories. So if you have those, please drop them in the comments. And if you're new to this channel, please make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and like the videos, and keep coming back for more of the great piano reviews and the history that Ted is going to continue to share with us. Thanks so much, Ted.
Hey, thanks.
See you guys.